First of all, welcome to this seminar. It is, as you can see here, the title is Design of Normal and Emergency Lighting Installations. First of all, in case somebody doesn't know yet our platform, it's very important to remember that address, BIMserver.center. And of course, if you wish that everything is in English, make sure you have this flag that here, okay? Okay. We are going to talk about the programs about lighting. How can we get these programs? In our website, if we go to store, and here, very easily, you could write, for example, CYPELUX. And doing that, you will get a link for all the programs that we have related to lighting. There is really a suite. There is a number of programs, each of them with a particular characteristic. In this case, we are going to focus in CYPELUX, okay? But if you are interested in any of those programs, you just have to click here. And if you see there's a website for each program, so you can search for information about them. And of course, in case you want to use it, download it, okay? But today, we're going to focus on this program, CYPELUX. Okay, this program, let's make it bigger maybe, so it can be more legible. Okay, maybe like that is better. Okay, as you see, this is an application for lighting analysis of lighting installations. It's a free tool, so it's so easy to use this program in the sense that you just have to register on a website here, okay? You register in your website, so you will be able to download the program, and I use it totally free of charge, okay? Of course, I have it already on my computer, so I will not do this step today, but I use it here. I don't want to forget to tell you something, that is that in most of the programs, we have this button, this available resources button, where you can get some very useful information, sometimes seminars, sometimes small videos, sometimes, so make sure that you get really a lot of information that can be useful before you start using the programs. In fact, today we are going to talk about two programs. First of all, because CYPELUX needs that an IFC. As you see here, it says this application is integrated into the OpenBIM workflow via the BIMserver.center platform. This means that it works in the using an IFC. In this case, we need an architectural model with the format IFC. You know, it's an open format. It can be generated by many ways. Okay, you could, if you have any IFC, you could upload it with IFC uploader. Or maybe if you have Revit, you can use the plugin we have for Revit. Suppose. Okay, this is quite interesting too, I think. If you have Revit in your computer, you can install this plugin, so you will be able to create a new project from Revit. That's another way, okay? Other interesting ways. You could start and make the architectural model with our programs, which are the programs we're going to talk now are free. IFC Builder is one of those programs. Okay, free tool in which you can create your IFC with architectural model, or this our brand new program, Cype Architecture, which is, well, let's this program, Cype Architecture. Another, okay, this tool very, very interesting for the architectural modeling program. specifically designed for multidisciplinary collaboration. It's a very good program in order to start the project. So that's the work that we are going to do today. In this case, well, in Cype architecture, we have so many available resources. A lot of videos explaining the different steps, step by step. So if you're interested in a certain step, you spend 3 or 4 minutes watching one of these videos, and you will certainly understand how this works. Okay, these sorts of tutorials. There are also long seminars if you want to more deep information about this. And well, that's about it. Okay. Well, before we start, I'll explain you how I started the project. If I want to show you my account. I'm, of course, registered in BIMserver.center, and now I'm using my account. By doing that, I get all the tools, all the different buttons of projects, recommended projects, my list of contacts, the certificates, and of course the store. That's another way of going to the store. So when I try to download a program, it doesn't. It lets me do it with no problem. Okay, if I'm in my account. What I did is I started the program. I started with a file of Cype architecture. Imagine with this in this program, you can create from scratch an architectural model. Of course, the file has its own extension, but when you export to the BIM project, you get an IFC. And okay, so what do I have? If I'll show you this project in my project button. This was created especially for this seminar. Okay, what I mean is that we come here to content. There is an IFC with the architectural model. If we click here, there's all the information that we get, different GLTFs as 3Ds, the pattern fittings, construction elements, furniture, spaces, sketch, etc. Okay, you can search for it one by one. Okay, or so I'm going to do now. I'll open. That's better. Okay, let's do here. Okay, this is the IFC exported from Cype architecture. Now, at this moment, we only have one file, that is the architectural model created from Cype architecture when we export it to the project. Okay, but we are going to add more information to this file. One interesting thing about the platform is that it allows you to share your project with a number of people that can have different roles. You can share or add to your work team people that will do a certain job in your work team. Okay, I could invite a user of my own contact list, or search for them. I could tell, for example, I want somebody else to design the structure. For example, that could be one way of working. Add somebody in the work team in order to complete the different parts of the design of the building. Or maybe I can share it with somebody that is only going to see the file. So I can give different roles depending on what I want that the particular person, what role I want this person to have. In this case, I'm the owner of this project, so that's why I decided the role I give to the different work team, first people in the work team. Well, by now as I said, we have the content. If I could have somebody else seeing this, and this person could be able to see a lot of information actually. If here, if you see, this is not just a drawing. If we click here, we get the label, the information about this traveling of these different elements. Okay, this will get more interesting as we give more information to the file. Okay, so well, that can be a starting point. This is the architectural model we are using. First, I'll talk about this today. It's not a seminar about Cype architecture, but I think it's interesting to explain some points that are important to be correctly defined here in Cype architecture, because they travel or they are exported when we export on BIMserver.center. So it's important that it's well defined, and hopefully I'll explain you well so you understand the importance of this. Well, okay, because in Cype architecture maybe I could be drawing only because I'm interested in getting good drawings, or maybe I'm only thinking about the building, thinking about I haven't decided yet how it's going to be. But in this case, that I'm going to calculate the lighting is a real building. So I really need to do it right with the levels and spaces. That's the part I want to explain now. Okay, how do we search for it? Let's open the file. Here, as you see, there are 3 tabs: sketch, architecture, and furniture. Let's open, or let's go to architecture. Here, what is important to see is this. In BIM model, we have these levels. In this case, there are 5 levels. And this, what we tell the program here, is what is going to be seen in the other programs, for example, CYPELUX. Okay, so that's quite important, because one thing is the floors that are actually the views, the different views I want to I am using. In this case, I have created 1 floor view per level, but I could have created more in case I was interested. There are only different ways of seeing the same way as there are different elevations. We can create as many floor views as we wish. Okay, as you see here. But okay, so that's quite important, I think. You see here that we will focus in this seminar in these offices. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Of course, here we can work in, as you see, the 3D view, see the 3D of every floor, but also, of course, we can change the reflection, see like that. Okay, that's up to the way we prefer. Okay, so one important part is the correct definition of the levels. As I explained, this is going to travel to the different programs that calculate different installations or standards. And the other part that is quite important as, to see, to define correctly here, so it's going to be useful later on, are the spaces. Okay, if you see here in the model, here in spaces, there's the list of all the different spaces we have used in this file. The reference is only the name we're giving to the particular space. But the other part that I want to focus on is this part, the property. Okay, these tags, this is what is going to travel to CYPELUX, and I will get when I start a file in CYPELUX, the program will ask me to give certain properties to these types of spaces. So that's quite important because this means that they are, if, for example, I have defined Office F1, Office 1, or F1, Office 2, this means that we are going to have the same conditions. What I mean is that they are going to have the same limits in the value of elements or whatever I'm going to check. If they are going to be the same type of space, I give them the same tag. If they are going to have different conditions, because maybe, for instance, one has to, I don't know, just an example. Imagine that depending on the height is different, the limits I want to get because the standards are different. So I would define two types, not only one office, but two types. Office with certain height or office with another one. Okay, I hope this is understood. This is quite important. How many types of spaces I have. Okay. Another thing is how many. The reference is that this particular space is the F1 office, and that other, that's that one office 2, etc. Okay. In brackets, I can see the type of space. Okay. So that's more or less what I wanted to say about this. Okay. So the next step, of course, was to export. I have already done that. That's why I can see the IFC here. Okay. Of course, make sure you have installed and working your synchronizer, BIMserver.center sync. Okay. So I think now we're ready to start with a program that is in our agenda. Okay, that is CYPELUX. Okay. Of course, in case you have any doubt, you can write it in the chat or in the questions part, and I'll try to answer them at the end of the seminar. Okay, don't hesitate to do that, or you can write an email to the address support@cype.com. This address, because I don't like saying addresses in. It's difficult maybe to know this correct spelling, etc. Here it is. Okay, if you search for any program in the platform, you will see always the contact information. You can see the email. Okay, so any doubt, any question, any comment, don't hesitate to write to us, and we will be happy on that to answer. Okay, support@cype.com. That's the address. Okay, so let's start. I'll open CYPELUX. Start the program. One important thing about this program is that this uses the Radiant software. It's developed by the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. Okay, that's quite important. This is integrated in the program. You don't have to install it by yourself. It's when you start CYPELUX, everything is included. Okay. Okay. How do we start? Well, don't forget that in all the programs we have examples. If you press here, you can have access to different example files. In this case, I'm going to start a brand new file. Let's do this, new. I'm going to save it in a folder that I have especially for this. And let's call it user worker because it's the type of building it is with some offices. And now I'm going to do lighting. Let's save. And this part is very important, is the moment that the program asks, do you wish to begin the project by importing a BIM model? Of course, I want to do this. So yes. As I have already created the project, I press this, select project. And this is the project I'm interested in linking. Okay, the project with the name, the date of today, the design of normal and emergency lighting installations. That's it. Let's set. And this moment, the program asks which file I want to use as an initiator. As I told you before, we are using the file that comes from Cype architecture. So that's it. Let's check it. And maybe this is, in this case, I only have the architectural model, but keep in mind that maybe I could have more info. Maybe I could have the sanitary installation, the other, so I could use them as additional files, and that would allow me to see them in the 3D. Okay, so let's see now this assistant is asking me about the floor plans. I want to import all of them. Remember, I told you about levels. That is what I'm getting now. And the space types. I want all of them, of course. Finish. Okay, so that's why I explained you that part, the levels and the spaces. That this is quite important. Let's accept. Here, maybe some of you are already familiar with this environment, but in case somebody is not, I'll explain it very briefly. When I open a file, as you see here in the 3D, you are seeing the architectural model because it's what was imported from the project. If I come here to elements, I can select it or unselect it. Okay, this is the architectural model. That's the name I gave to the IFC exported from Cype architecture. Okay, the other part is this, the levels. Okay, I got all of that. Don't worry about the errors. We will solve all of them. Okay, but only a brief comment about that. Okay, that we read the levels from the IFC. So that's why I'm getting all of that. And in this case, it's only with the name of the level. It's quite important. Okay, the other part that is very important, always in our programs, the general parameters. I think I could start from here. Here in general parameters, there are some certain elements of really is about what kind of checks we are going to make in this program. This program Cypelux is very generic, very open. So you will see that everything can be modified manually. First of all, just the general project requirements. This is optional. Is if you want to that the program checks the maximum total power in the building. In the case of Spain, for example, there is a limit. But if you are in other places, you don't have this limit, you can leave it like that. Okay, so it's, as I thought, it's something optional. Of course, if you do this, it's because you want to amend it and write a number. If there's no limit, you leave it unchecked. Okay. The other part, really, really important, is like the heart of the program. Okay, is this, the requirements for the zones. Okay. Which requirements will I want for the spaces? If you see here, this is at the beginning, it's empty. Here, I can create manually my own requirements. So I believe you are coming from different countries, so you will have your own standards. So you could write here normal, for example, I don't know if it's an office, normal lighting, and here you write the name of your country, or maybe imagine you're coming from Singapore or any other place, and the name of your code, whatever. Okay. What happens in this case? Sorry for my spelling. you write the limits you have in your code. So if there is a minimum chromatic performance, you check it here, write the level, the value, sorry, you write the value and write a little description that is going to appear afterwards in the report. If, for example, I have a maximum total power of, I don't know, 50, I write here maximum total power offices in industrial, whatever. Okay, it is probably maybe you would do a copy paste from the standard. Okay, not write manually. That's very advisable that you write the certain 0.134b of that code. So that is what is going to appear in your report. What you write is what you get. So if you do it with effort, you will get a very nice report. Okay, I hope this is understood what I mean by this. You can create your own checks like that. And of course, it can have a normal lighting or emergency lighting limits. Probably, I think it's easier if you create your own checks for normal lighting and your own checks for emergency lighting. So it's easier afterwards to link the different species to their checks. Okay, so that's a little example of how to do it from scratch. In this case, I have, for example, one that I have created before. If I just created requirements and then export it. So now, if I press here import, I get my emergency lighting limit. Okay, that's something I added before. Okay, imagine I have this with limits that make sense. Okay, and another interesting part is that there's the option of importing standard requirements already of European this European standard that is for normal lighting. This from Spain, okay, or this from Portugal. The thing that's one thing I have to say is that if you wish to use this, in this case, this requires payment. Okay, so the tool is free except for this option. In case somebody wants to use this part, this requires payment. Okay, I'm going to, as I said, I could start really from the beginning and create my own standard or my own checks or requirements for the zone manually, because of timing reasons. No, sorry. I imagine I'm going to use one that is already created for offices. Okay, that I'll accept. So I get all of these or whatever. And imagine in this case, I'm probably going to use this one that is for offices for writing, typing, reading, and data processing. I imagine that in this office, this is what people are going to do. If I edit, this is what I get. Okay, with these limits for the minimum chromatic performance, minimum maintained average horizontal luminance, whatever. Okay, these are limits for normal lighting. Of course, I could edit and write my own requirements with my own. Okay, as you see here, this is with text that will appear in the reports. Everything is editable. Okay, I can manually change it. Okay, well, I hope this is. I can keep all of this, or maybe if I want to make sure I don't get, I'm going to delete it. So I only have two types of zones of requirements. Okay, one for emergency lighting, another for the normal lighting. For example, it's only a little example. Okay, imagine I have this. What I'm going to do now that we have finished with the general parameters, maybe I can Also, I think I'm going to use one for traffic zones because it's going to be, as I want to use a corridor also, I think it's interesting to have one for corridors. Okay, let's keep this one. Yes, I'll keep this for corridors. Everything I'm not doing this in a certain order, but of course you can come back here if you remember you forgot something or whatever. Okay, don't worry about the order of these steps. Okay, this is other limit that I could have for the corridors. Okay, that's it. I have finished with the general parameters. Now that we have done this, I think it's the time to take a look at the different errors I have in this part. Let's take a look at that and make sure we don't have more errors. And what do we get here? Well, if you see here, it says that there are error messages. Okay, let's start from here. It says in this particular space, it says that the type of zone warehouse has yet to be checked. The zone types have been generated based on the BIM model. Exactly, okay, I already told you that in Cype architecture. And must be checked. The properties of each type of zone must also be introduced by editing the library containing the different types. Okay, that's quite important. So, if you see here, we have the same error in all the zones because we haven't done anything about it. I'll explain you. As I said in this example, we are going to do a very small part of this, only these two offices and the corridor, because I think it's enough in order to explain the capabilities of the program. Okay, I think it's quite enough. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll explain you how to do that. How can we correct the error about the zones? First of all, we can come here to the types of zones button. We edit this button, and as you see, we get a red cross in the check column because we haven't done it yet. Let's see, as I told you, I am interested in the offices and the corridor, so let's start there. I come to the office and press the edit button. Here, that's important, okay, to make sure we do this fine. First of all, this is the type of zone part in which we have these three options. The option does not intervene. This means we are not going to make any check in that space, internal or external. In this case, the correct option is internal. Then let's see these tabs. Descriptions. First of all, the height of the work plane, normal lighting. There's a value for luminance and another value for glare. There are default values. We can make it like that, or if we have we wish to change it, of course, it can be modified, okay? And what the marginal band, everything is very, I think, with a lot of information, okay? I don't want to spend too much theory today, but only I want to tell you that you can read all the information because everything is explained. Okay? I leave the default values. Default values, yes. Okay, that's fine. Analysis. First of all, the maintenance factor. You see here, that's quite a interesting information also about that part, the maintenance factor. Not only because in this part, there's not only an information tool, but also this guide that will help us to determine the maintenance factor for normal lighting in case we want to modify it. Okay, there are so many parameters that we can take into consideration. Okay, using this standard CIE 97 or 20. Okay, accept. That's a maintenance factor, that's a reflectance. Again, I leave it in the default values. And then, very important part, the checks. This is linked with what we did before. Remember, we created two types of checks, three actually, two for normal lighting and one for emergency lighting. In this moment, I want to tell the program which check I want to do in the office spaces. So I have to add it here. If I press, I get the three options we created before. For the office, I think that could be fine. Let's make the check for the normal lighting. The good thing about this, one thing I like, is that this is editable from here also. So you don't have to have a lot of memory. You can edit and see which checks we are going to do. And of course, if we want to make a change, we can. Okay, so that's about it, about the office. So these are the checks that are going to be made in the office space. And then for the corridor, what I want to do in the corridor, okay, the same options is to use the emergency lighting check. Okay, as you see here. And I'm going to add also the check for traffic zones inside buildings. Okay, that's done. You could add as checks as you wish. Okay, now that this is done, of course, you see the green check. Well, we could do this for all the spaces. As in this time, I want to do it as fast as possible. Okay, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to tell that the rest of the zones don't intervene. Okay, I say done. Okay, for that reason, because I'll go faster. Anyway, this doesn't. Okay, I make sure I'm doing this for that reason, because I am going to focus only on those other. Anyway, one thing that I think is important to know is that, because I don't want to spend more time with those spaces, but it's important to know that the program anyway allows me to update the result of all the file or only of a certain zone. This is important when the building has a lot of zones, especially okay when you are almost finished, but you have some zones that for some reason you haven't finished, and you don't want all the time to be updating the complete file. So you can focus on the zone you want. That's important. Okay, that's something interesting. Okay, we have solved the first problem. So you see there are no errors in the middle of the spaces anymore. And what is the other problem? If we see here, it says the data of the glaze type opening with a reference has not been checked. The glaze type openings have been generated based on the BIM model and must be checked. The properties of each glaze opening must be introduced by editing the types library. Well, fair enough. Let's go to the glazed type of glazed openings. It's here. It's the program is only asking us to accept the different type of glazed openings. In the Cype architecture, we don't give these properties at all. So this is the moment where the program needs that we accept. Okay, so you see, it could be scary all of these errors, but in a minute we have solved them. Okay, that's coming interesting. Well, now that this is done, we can start actually inserting the lighting. Okay, the light. How? Well, first of all, maybe we could let's focus in this office. There are some different ways of inserting the lights. One way would be manually one by one. Okay, this, imagine we are doing this. We come here to the zone is already explained, so let's come to internal lighting. If we come here, we could create our own lighting totally manually. If you know the characteristics of the lighting, you could write all the information about one by one. I think this is the most difficult way, but it's good to know that it's possible to do totally by hand. Okay, totally manually, you could create your lighting. Other ways, this is very useful, I think. The way is using the import predefined lights. By doing this, you can have access to a database of lighting. So, okay, all these are already in the program. So that's what we are going to do afterwards. Okay, so we can insert them, and that's it. With no, and the good I think I like about it is that it's not only that you can use it, but you can even modify afterwards. You can use it and then modify. Okay. Another way of using the file that I told you by hand. Second, using the import predefined lights. Third, this. This is very interesting, I think. It's from my point of view, is import of lights using a file with IES or LGT format. As you know, the different manufacturers, vendors have in their websites these type of files. So if you get them, you have to import them by clicking, double click in the file, and you can use them in a program. So that's quite interesting. Okay, remember, this is something you can do for internal lighting, external lighting, or emergency lighting. Okay, so once you get the type of lightings you like using in your country, or you can use them in our program with no problem. Okay, so that's about the way of defining. Okay, this is the part. The first part is how do you get the database of the lighting? How do you insert them? Well, imagine first of all you could one by one. I could do it like this and insert it in the case I want with no like that. Okay, so just an example. This is one way, but uh, sometimes it can be. Well, one thing is before I do this, one interesting tool in this program is that when you delete, you can select what exactly you want to delete. This is important. If I do this, I say it's only internal lighting, I don't have to worry about what I selecting with my mouse because only what I tell here is going to be deleted. One way is that like that manually, but there are other tools very interesting. Like this, for example, the linear distribution or the circular distribution. This is a small example, but imagine a big office. It can take me a lot of time go one by one, and with this linear distribution tool, I can save a lot of time. I'm going to do that. Another thing I'm going to use is this. This first with this option, when I do different, when I do anything, I can get. Sorry for this. I'm going to use also the tracking. So this allows me to tell the program the distance between the different lightings. So, okay, first of all, remember the object snap, and this tool is interested that it is selected, and also if you wish the orthogonality. I particularly like this. So if now I want to insert another lighting, the program, as you see, tells me the distance and allows me to write a number. So I can do like that. Okay, that's one tool. And now we are still in the manually part. Now I'm going to explain you this, the linear distribution. In this way of working, you say linear distribution, you have to select the line you're going to use. In this example, I can start from here to here, 4 meters, and then opens this. Linear distribution, which type of light I want? The one I already checked, axis direction, the alignment, and the number of lights I want the program to put in this line. I think maybe 2 is enough. Let's accept, and I get this. If now, for example, I could do this, or I can say copy, like that. I select a point, and maybe I want this 2 meters distance. If I do like that, I finish, and I can already start calculating. If I say update zone and select the zone, you will see, of course, the distribution is not very good in the limit of the space, but I think it's interesting because I want to talk about that, okay? What happens now that I have done the analysis? If you see, we get this different information. First of all, you can see the average maintained horizontal luminance that we got, the elapses, the total installed power, the energy efficiency value of the installation, the unified rating that is acceptable in this case, and then the different checks for the checks I selected for this space. We have problems in two. The EM luminance is not good enough, and also you see here I can get it in more detail. I'll show you now. Here it is, consult results. If we click on the space, we get all this information about what is going on in the space. Here, the minimum maintained luminance is not enough, and also there's a problem with the uniformity. Okay, this is something that we could expect. Okay, but I thought it was interesting to show you. I'll tell you why. Because I not only get this information of the final result, but I also can come here, view results, and check the contour maps. Now we're talking about the normal lighting. The contour maps, as you see here, is very obvious that as the lighting are in the borders, I don't get enough lighting in the center of the space. You see here in the range of values. This can be seen by different ways. Contour maps, contour lines. Okay, imagine if, and also even numerical. You can see the actual value in all the different elements. I like this one. One thing that is interesting, I think, is that the contour maps can be seen not only here, but also in the 3D. If I were here, I could come, well, let's unselect this part. I can focus on this. I can see here in the 3D. I can maybe I can make it a bit bigger if I prefer. Okay, so it's quite interesting too. Well, once this is finished, I could make some decisions. Okay, first of all, well, the distribution is not good. It's not. I don't have enough light. So, okay, I would need 500 lux. I'm not there yet. Okay, so what could I do? Many things. One way could be maybe make them a bit more in the center. That's where I started. This with this tool. Okay, let's update the zone. I was getting 190, and with it, at least I'm sure the informative will be better now. Okay, it's fine now. The problem now is only with the required luxes. What could I do? For example, I could select another type of lighting with more power. Let's see, maybe that wasn't enough. So instead of this one, let's go to the next one and update the zone. Okay, better but not enough. In my case, I usually go one by one because I don't want to use too much energy either. Right? I'm worried about the efficiency also, okay? So imagine that one, update zone. That's fine now, okay? This is all the checks that I made, they are verified. Okay, all the values are in the required range. Okay, so that could be finished, this part about the normal lighting. And now imagine, for the other example, the other interesting part I wanted to show you was the emergency lighting checks. So, for example, in the corridor, I could, this program reads the escape rules and requirements from Cype design, but also it's possible to create them here manually. So imagine, let's draw the corridor. Let's say that starts from here. Here, okay, that's fine. It's only, don't take into consideration that very much, okay? It's only an example. Okay, here I have the escape route and what type of, and of course, remember that the corridor has this emergency lighting. Okay, I unselect the normal lighting, so I only check the emergency lighting in this space. Okay, if we take this zone, you are getting errors. Okay, because I don't have enough light in the central axis or in the center band of this escape route because I haven't inserted any emergency lights at all. How can we do this? I could come here, emergency lighting. The same way, okay? There are many ways of inserting this. Let's do this in the part using the database of the program. I could accept. Then sample, I could insert it here and then decide that we are going to insert more every 2 meters. This is, I don't know if you can see it properly because of the color, but there is a line helping me tracking. So I do it in the right line. That imagine I get, I think that's enough. I can update this all. And if I click here, that's everything is fine. I can click here to see the checks of this particular space. One thing that is, imagine I could do this with all the different spaces, and of course it checks also the enough that is enough light near the requirements of the fire extinguishing protection. Okay. What imagine I have finished everything. What do I get? What I get is this report. The program. There are also a calculation annex and the project. The calculation annex is very detailed because it tells me. Let's export it to PDF, for example, so I can show better. Okay, I have two screens, sorry, it's in the other. Okay, here it is. I can get that space, file space, all the information of the parameters with which I want to do the calculations, the arrangement of the lights with the information about them, the total luminous flux they give, efficiency, the power installed, etc. And this with the values. Also the worst case value, which is the worst place in the space. That in this example it was very small. I got the normal lighting for the offices and the emergency lighting for the corridor. So I get here the arrangement, how many lightings we have, which description they have, and also the calculated luminance values for that space. Okay, I get this is one of the parts, but I have to go fast because we are almost running out of time. Sorry. Let's see if I can go past this to the project. Also very interesting thing, saying if it meets or not meets the different requirements I ask the program to make. And also I get the drawings. The drawings can be, I can get them one by one, only for cellular or only for stereo lights. In this case, I'll check everything. Samples, I'll show you a general idea. The peripherals, that's very important. I can get it for drawings, like for CAD programs, or I can get it as for in PDF format. Okay, that's something we get a lot of questions about, so it's really no problem at all in doing this. And here, well, in this case, we only working in one floor, so that's the interesting part. So I could get that, okay, the detailed information of the plans for the lighting of this floor. One important thing, if we export this, lighting analysis, where in the work, I will show this. I can export to the in project the quantities, design annex reports, and the drawings. Okay, and now it will be the update loading now. If we here, this is, let's see the project. Okay, this. Okay, second see if I can get it exported because I was interested in showing you this. Oh, it's for finished now. Okay, this is done now. I want to show you what information I can get here. Here, it's uploading now, okay? Let's wait a little minute. While this is done, other little thing I want to explain that because I think we explain most of the options in the program. One interesting tool is this, the copy onto another floor plan. Imagine this is a very small example, but imagine you have a big example, a big building with a lot of floors, and many times it happens that the floors are really similar. So with this, once you have completed your distribution of the lightings, you know that everything is fine, you can use this tool that allows you to copy whatever you are interested in. For example, the internal lighting and emergency lighting, I could copy that, yeah, this, in the floor plan I want. For example, floor 0. If I come here, I see it. Okay, so okay, this example doesn't make sense, but you can have to imagine we are in a building with floors that are similar. It can save us so much time. Okay, so I think quite interesting, and also another very interesting tool, this kind of things, the symmetry copy. I use it a lot, quite a lot. I could use in this case the symmetry copy with this axis, so I copy this light in here. Of course, we're not talking about 4 lights, but about 100 lights, so I could be very grateful to the program. Okay, well, now this is done, the IFC has uploaded. If I come to content, I can see not only the architectural model we had before, but also the analysis that was done by the CYPELUX program. If you see here, we get all this information, the calculation annex, the PDF I show you, okay, that can be seen and downloaded in the different computers. Whatever person I'm sharing this with can see, okay, the information about UTR, the luminance of the lighting, all this information, okay. The IFC can be downloaded, the lighting photometry, and even the project will be shared. You can share it with your work team. And here, if we come here to the project, you will see that now there are 2 different models, the architectural model and also the lighting analysis model. I could, maybe I can make this transparent. So you see here, we can see the lightings that are now added to the model. Even if I prefer to make it invisible and don't see it at all, you see here, I can get the information, exactly the information that travels about the lighting. That in this case is a fixed lighting, 3 per 36 watts, fluorescent lamps, for example. Well, that's it. Well, I think that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Thanks for joining this webinar. I hope this is useful for you. You can see it every time you want. This is recorded, so you can see and consult it anytime. And this has been a pleasure. If you have any question, this is the moment. Although of course, I expect that you will be in this address with any comment, suggestion, or well, I'll give you some seconds to think in case you want to tell me something. Okay, so well, there are no questions. Maybe you will get some questions when you use the program. It can happen. Okay, when you start using, maybe you have some doubts. So that's where the technical support department comes for helping you. So again, don't hesitate to contact us. Okay, we'll be pleased to help you. Thank you for your time and for your attention. Have a nice day.